Hello everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Uniting SharePoint and Dynamics CRM for Business Critical Processes. It's good to have you here today. We have a very exciting webinar. Today our presenters are as follows. James Luxford, who's the CTO of PNMsoft. Hi James. And myself. Hi there you are. And myself, I'm Ellie Stutz, Head of Knowledge and Collaboration for PNMsoft. And we're very glad to have you here today. On the agenda today, these are the following topics that we're going to be discussing. We're going to be talking about the qualities, pluses of CRM, Dynamics CRM, and Microsoft SharePoint. We're going to be talking about the challenge of integrating and connecting these two wonderful products and suggesting how to do that. We're going to be talking about the gap and how to fill that gap. Then we're going to be taking a look at some live examples. James will be showing us some real-life scenarios, some business scenarios where uniting SharePoint and Dynamics CRM can have some great business benefits. We'll be summarizing those benefits, and we'll be taking your questions and fielding those questions. And you can already actually begin writing your questions in the GoToWebinar widget on the right of your screen where it says questions. Please feel free to write any questions during the course of the webinar, and we will try to field as many as we can at the end of the webinar. So some of you may have seen these pictures. They're actually from Jerry Maguire, an old favorite. And you may remember at the end of the movie, Jerry says, "You complete me." And why am I saying this? Why are we looking at the screen? Well, actually, in a way, SharePoint and Dynamics CRM complete each other. And how is this? Let's take a look. So each of these leading Microsoft products have various strong points, and here are some of them. On the one hand, on the CRM side, we have a product which is the master of customer data and relations. It's the way to manage customer relations properly, and that's what it's made for. Whether it's sales or service or marketing, it's designed to do that, and it does it very well. And it's a real enabler for customer relations, obviously, as a CRM, and it does it well. It's oriented towards operations. It's oriented towards business operations. And in a way, the CRM itself is more set or configured for specific operations than SharePoint is. SharePoint is a little more of a flexible general platform, and CRM is more driven, focused on a particular end of the business, which is the customer relations end. And what follows from that is the fourth point here, is that it's also event-oriented, entity-oriented, stage-oriented. It's focused on entities like accounts and leads and orders and cases, and these entities also have stages. And as CRM has developed, we have increasing management of those stages. And as an opportunity goes towards the sale, we have stages, the ability to manage those stages, which is even also a process management type of capability. So those are some of the strengths of CRM. There are many more, but those are some of the ones that I'd like to mention today. Then we look at SharePoint. Where are SharePoint's strengths? One major strength, maybe the top strength, is it's the enterprise content management of SharePoint, the document management, the list management, the ability to manage information in a clear, coherent way across an organization. No one does it better than SharePoint. It's the leading enterprise content management system in the world. And to do so, it has to be, the second point, collaboration-oriented. It brings in so many people from the organization. It enables so many people to connect to content, to see content, to use and to share content with each other. That's one of its key strengths. It's the king of lists and views and filtering data and presenting multiple entries in various cuts and grids and views and filtered views. So there is where SharePoint rules, the list management, the document management, and as I mentioned, the wider company use. More users in the company have access to SharePoint than any other application. So those, in a nutshell, are the strengths of both these two applications. And if we could somehow combine these strengths and unite them and integrate them into one, then we would see this idea of you complete me, of a much more powerful system which shares the strengths of both these two systems. So the question is, can we do that? Can we enable Dynamics CRM and SharePoint to complete each other? That's the question. So do they integrate? The answer is yes, in some ways already, natively, and we'll take a look at some of these ways. You can display SharePoint lists and libraries within Dynamics CRM, and you can display CRM data within SharePoint. So you see the green light there. You can do that. And that's a display-oriented integration, as in you can see data from one system within the other fairly easily. It's out of the box. You can integrate at least the seeing of data. You can even pass parameters from CRM to SharePoint so that you can see specific data based on which entity you have open at the time. Okay, so great. So does that mean then that I can create a business process, a SharePoint process, let's say a process that starts in SharePoint that interacts with the data that I can see in CRM, that touches it, that perhaps changes based on the change in the CRM data? Well, the answer is you can, but the but is it requires coding. That already is not as easy to do. SharePoint does have native workflow capabilities, and so does CRM, but in order to create processes that span both systems requires coding. Even more so when I ask the question, can I create advanced CRM processes that interact with SharePoint data, processes that begin in CRM and that require access to or interaction with SharePoint data? The answer, again, possible. Anything's possible, but here with even more significant coding. So so then you may be listening to me and asking, okay, so who cares? Why do I need processes that span CRM and SharePoint? And the answer is that people are realizing more and more that today successful businesses are process-oriented or need to be process-oriented in order to succeed. Just having data static in some system that someone can access is not enough to be competitive today. Businesses need to have a successful business process management strategy in order to execute, in order to compete, in order to be efficient. And more businesses are looking towards processes to manage SharePoint, processes which interact with SharePoint data, processes which interact with CRM data or which are affected by CRM data. And now in this webinar, we're looking at processes that will actually involve both systems. And now the question is, okay, so we can only do that with a lot of coding. It's complex. Maybe it'll never happen, but we need it. So how do we do it? So that's the gap. Okay, that's the challenge. We need to create the ability to create advanced processes which involve both SharePoint and Dynamics CRM data and entities and operations. We need to extend these processes to multiple users within our organization. Management needs to see these processes in action. They need to monitor and have visibility on these processes. And so that's the gap. That's the real gap here. And as of half a year ago or a year ago, you just couldn't do it. Okay, it was very inaccessible. And today we're going to show you how actually it is accessible. So introducing PNMsoft SCE. PNMsoft SCE is a relatively new product from PNMsoft. It is a unique BPM CRM product. It's not a CRM system. It's a BPM software which enables the creation of intelligent workflow solutions for Dynamics CRM and SharePoint. And what it does is it is the brain behind the business flows and processes which span your systems, whether it be SharePoint or CRM or both. It enables you to create process flow between these systems. It brings in more users in your organization and involves them in these processes, and it gives management the visibility over those processes that enables them to find bottlenecks, to assess the performance of the processes, and to improve them over time. So it's kind of the process enabling engine that will enable you to connect your business processes with SharePoint, with Dynamics CRM, and with both together. What does it look like? This is a very basic, simplified kind of architecture of PNMsoft SCE. So in the middle we have Dynamics CRM. PNMsoft SCE is a solution which you import into your Dynamics CRM. We're on the Dynamics CRM marketplace. It's a gold verified application for Dynamics CRM. It's been tested, and that's where it's installed. On the right, you have Sequence IBPMS. PNMsoft SCE is based on PNMsoft Sequence, which is an intelligent business process management suite, which enables you to create business process workflows. Okay, and so that on the right in the blue is where a SCE designer creates intelligent workflows in a very visual and intuitive interface. And then we have the integration. We have the fact that it enables integration between Dynamics CRM and SharePoint, because PNMsoft SCE is actually the runtime of Sequence, which is the base BPM engine, is actually installed on SharePoint. It has dedicated SharePoint integration activities, so you can design workflows that have CRM activities and SharePoint activities. It also has additional activities to integrate out of the box with other enterprise systems such as ERP, database, order management systems, all sorts of other systems, and these are wizard-based integration activities, so you don't need to code them. They step through a wizard, and you can have integration with many systems in one workflow. And the other thing you'll notice in this diagram is the people. One of the strengths of PNMsoft SCE is the ability to group in more people into the process, whether it's the CRM service representatives, the daily users of the CRM, whether it's the CRM managers, whether it's people from other departments who are involved in ERP operations or other operations that are suddenly called into the process and interact with it as well. Whether it's the wide employee base of your organization who has access to your SharePoint portal, they're brought into the process where needed. So all these people are brought into a process using PNMsoft SCE, whereas without it, you have kind of compartmentalized systems where the people don't have any way of interacting with each other, through business processes. So okay, great. It's there. We can integrate. What are some of the usage scenarios? Where do we actually need to see integration between Dynamics CRM and SharePoint? We're going to be taking a look at some live in a moment, but some examples are customer onboarding, orders and service requests, account maintenance, integration with ERP and other systems. Those are some of the examples we're going to be taking a look at in a moment when we get to James's live demo. And I've already seen many examples, even within our own organization and with some of our clients, where we would love to be able to integrate CRM events and operations with SharePoint lists. How do we do it? So the need is there. We see the need among our clients. We actually even see the need in our own organization. And this is a field which the need has been there already for some time, and only now do we actually have a way to actually make these processes come to life. So let's now move over to James Luxford, CTO PNMsoft, and James is actually going to be showing you some of these examples in a live demo environment. So I will make James the presenter right now. James, you have it. One second. There we go. Okay, James, are you with us? Hold on. There we go. James?
Okay.
Okay, let's go
okay,
right ahead. Yeah, I can hear you. I can't see the screen yet.
No, I'm just switching it on.
Okay.
Okay, so thanks for the great introduction, Ellie. Just to quickly summarize what Ellie's covered here. We have SharePoint that is widely used in many organizations, Dynamics CRM that's widely used in organizations. What we've seen is that not just with those two products, but also with other enterprise systems, they're thought of very much compartmentalized, thought of isolated, siloed applications. Dynamics CRM, SharePoint can be brought together using business process management, specifically Sequence Kinetics and our CRM edition. So I want to give you a flavor for what we mean by bringing them together today. It's not just a case of showing information that's in one system within another. It's about having the two working together, having the different groups, the different audiences that may work in SharePoint and or CRM working together within processes, their data not just being shared but being a core part of the process, data flowing around the enterprise into systems, out of systems. And I've got 4 little snippets that I want to step through with you today, just to start illustrating that. We can only really start scratching the surface of what's possible with Sequence CRM Edition, but we just want to hopefully give you a little taster. Please feel free as we're going along to submit some questions via the question panel. We'll have some time at the end. It would be great if we can have some questions from the audience to help bring everything to life. Before I start, you're just currently looking at Sequence Kinetics in our SharePoint 2013. We've actually decided today, we're actually going to run through today using SharePoint 2010 and CRM 2011. Why? But we have chosen sort of the versions of the products that the majority of you have said that you're currently using. As you can see here, we support SharePoint 2013. We support Dynamics CRM 2013 on-premise and online. But just so that today sort of resonates with as many of you as it can, we're using those particular versions. But what is also worth bearing in mind is Sequence CRM Edition can move information between versions of SharePoint and between versions of CRM and between organizations with CRM. So that's something that just adds an extra element should you be looking to upgrade, should you have different versions of those products within your enterprise. That's not a problem for Sequence. So I'm going to move on to my virtual environment. And let's start off very quickly having a look in a couple of the environments. So here we are in CRM. Part of what we offer here is the ability to be able to surface sequence management information within CRM. I'm not going to focus too much on that, but just very quickly I want to show you one of the real benefits of using SCE is the ability to be able to, any process that's running through the system, being able to, within CRM, to be able to see where it is. You can have this same progress view within SharePoint as well. So it means whichever interface your users are using, they can monitor the progress of their business processes. We're going to be coming back and looking at here a little later. What do we also have within SharePoint? So I have a SharePoint environment here, and I have a document library called Customer Area. Within here, we have some customer folders. What I'm going to show you today is how we can start creating items within SharePoint. How we can move documents into SharePoint, update those documents. And for the purposes of this exercise, we have a document template library where we can have all of the organization's approved templates, and we'll be using those rather than relying on people uploading the latest document template. We'll show how we can use those approved templates. And then we'll be looking at how we can manage folders and manage documents within those folders. It's not just about documents as well, as Ellie said. SharePoint, the king of lists. Here we have a simple little SharePoint list, which we're just going to use to illustrate how we can pick up list items. So let's start running through the scenarios that I have. And in order to do this, I just want to show you them in the sequence administration site. Because what's, again, important here is what Ellie touched on. I haven't written any lines of code to create any of these scenario demonstrations today. It's all been done using configuration wizards. So the first scenario I'm going to go through, it has a custom onboarding flavor here, but what we're looking at here is being able to capture data from the users. And we can capture data in Sequence Kinetics from SharePoint, from CRM, from a mobile device, from the internet, and bring that information together and then feed it out to Dynamics CRM, to SharePoint. So we're going to be filling in a web form, and we're going to be creating some entities within Dynamics CRM. We're also going to be creating a folder in SharePoint and then just letting the user know, yes, that's what's happening. As Ellie said, there's just wizards behind these. I haven't really got time. If I've got time later on, I'll come back and show you the inner workings of some of these, just to reflect on the fact that you're not having to write lines of code. But let's have a look at actually running this particular scenario. So as I mentioned, this can be started in a number of ways. It can be started in a website. So here we're exposing a sequence web form as part of a website. I also have the same view on my mobile device. Sequence Kinetics has an HTML5 mobile portal. Looks like I just need to reapprove here, but I won't do that now. But I can do exactly the same from here. Oh, let me do that. Administrator. And this allows me, if I'm out and about with my mobile device, any mobile device or tablet, I can start the process from here as well. In this case, if I find through search, because it's HTML5 delivered through the browser, I can do it all. I can show you on my laptop as well. So we're having different forms coming up here. The different forms, it's the same process, just different steps in the process. There's another version of the form. Not my prettiest work, I must admit, but hopefully it gives you an idea. Or within SharePoint, I can do exactly the same. Clicking on the link here, this now allows me to start the process. So different types of, this could be, say, a front desk when someone's called in on the phone, whereas a customer that's logging onto your website could use the internet. A sales rep that's out and about could use the mobile portal. But let's capture some information here. Our web form technology is very flexible. You can have whatever field you want, your own look and feel. I'm afraid I find it quite hard to talk and type at the same time, so I might have to pause. So Antler is our demonstration company today, if I could spell Antler. Antler Technology. We fill in postcode, WTJJ. They are in London, in the United Kingdom, and they've got 46 employees. We're just capturing some bits of information. Now when I click submit, Sequence behind the scenes is running through that process that I showed you and will be doing lots. It might just take a couple of seconds because, as you can appreciate, it is doing quite a lot. And it will come back with an acknowledgement, hopefully, in a second, just to let me know that the job is done. Now, of course, if I'm a real user, we wouldn't do this. We'd do this asynchronously behind the scenes. But I just want you to be able to show, as soon as all the work, all the good work has been done by Sequence, we'll then be able to go in and see where it is. So just give it a couple of seconds and then we'll be able to have a little look. There we go. So I've now just got a little acknowledgement just telling me that we've created an account, a content has been created, and a customer folder has been created. So within a process such as customer onboarding, of course, we wouldn't have to tell people that these have happened. We could have this all happening automatically behind the scenes, but it means that users aren't having to remember to go into CRM to create all the entities, relate them all together. They're not having to remember to go into SharePoint. Of course, they can do that, but we're taking away that pain, making it that much easier for them. So let's have a look to see the fruits of our work here. If I come in here and go to my accounts, we can see we've now got an Antler technology in here, and if I open that entity up, we'd have populated the few details that we have filled. We've already created a contact as well, and we've associated that contact with the account. We put in the city, the postcode, the country. We've also got number of employees. Just one thing to have a look at here, we've got a couple of custom fields that we've added. We'll be coming back and having a look at these two a little later. Of course, we could populate all the fields in Dynamics CRM. I just wanted to show you one or two. We now go back to our document library that contains our customer folders, and we go into customer folders. We can now see we've now got a folder called Antler Technology. There isn't actually anything in it at the moment. We've just created that folder. So that's that first scenario, showing how we can capture information from people. It could be from emails, it could be from other systems, but then we can then create information objects within Dynamics CRM, within SharePoint, bringing it all together. So that's my first scenario. Hopefully there's lots of questions flooding in at this point. If not, please feel free to ask those questions. So the second scenario is now looking at, well, we've got information within CRM. We're actually using cases or incidents. We're using that information to then be able to create some information within SharePoint. So what we would normally do is we would be able to create a case within CRM, and it would automatically flow through. Sequence has a plugin that allows us to listen to events happening within CRM. But just for demonstration purposes, I'll be first of all creating a case, and we'll then be selecting that case. We can retrieve that case, which means we can pick up every piece of information, every piece of data that relates to it, and do something with it. In this case, these cases are related to responding to a complex service request from a customer. Not something as simple that can just be actioned by answering a question, sending them a letter, but something that perhaps involves planning. It could be an IT request for a complex installation of an enterprise system that may involve multiple documents being created. So we're going to create a project plan, a requirement spec, and a costing template, and publish those documents to the customer folder that could then at a later date then be authored by the appropriate individuals. But those documents are already there to the approved template, ready, waiting to be updated and authored. So let's have a look at this scenario in action. So the first thing that I need to do is go and create that case. And we go to Service within CRM. We can see we've already got 4 in here that I've already previously created. So let's create a new one. So this could be, let's call it a new sequence CRM edition installation, for instance. And we can associate it. Let's associate it with the customer that we've just created. Let's have a look at anything with Ant. Yep, that's our customer. And we can include as many other elements of information here, but our serial number is going to be SCE1234. I'll show you why we're using that, or why we're adding that in a moment. Save and close. So we've now got a case in CRM that can be managed. If we now start my second scenario, scenario number 2. So what we're going to do here, as we said, we're going to select a case, and we're then going to use that case to then populate other systems, in this case, SharePoint. Just wait for the form to pop up.
James, while we wait, I just wanted to answer 2 questions already that I see.
Running locally.
James, just to answer a couple questions that I already see in the questions widget.
Of course.
PNMsoft SCE integrates with Dynamics CRM 2011 and Dynamics CRM 2013. We're just showing an example here in a 2011 CRM environment, but it's the same integration with CRM 2013.
It's exactly the same, yes. It uses the same interface, which means that you can very easily move, if you're moving between or have some plans, as most Dynamics CRM customers will have, to move from 11 to 13 in the near future, whether that's on-premise or online. You won't have to go and rebuild all your SCE processes. They will work with both versions.
And the same goes for the version of SharePoint. PNMsoft SCE integrates both with SharePoint 2011 and 2013.
Exactly, yes.
Sorry, 2010 and 2013.
Okay, come on. There we go. Okay, the reason it was just taking a few seconds to come up was it just needed to go, and this form is actually pulling back information from Dynamics CRM. So this is another excellent point to show that within sequence forms we can display information from CRM and from SharePoint as well. So here we've got the grid of all of the cases, the incidents that are in CRM, including the case number, the title, the serial number that I showed you there, and the customer. And we're interested in the bottom one down here. This is the one that we're going to select, and we're going to click Submit. Now behind the scenes, did that one very quickly. Lots has happened behind the scenes. If I now go back into my customer folder and into Antler Technology, we now see we've got 3 new documents in here that have been created. And points to note are we've actually renamed them. We have just appended the case number on the front of the names, but it means you can take the standard template name and you can rename them to give them a more specific name, as you can see here. But we've got a couple of custom columns on our SharePoint document library, serial number and case, and we've populated those with the actual serial number and case from the case that we've created in CRM. So our documents that we're now creating as part of this installation plan, they reflect the same information that we have within CRM. Consequently, if I were to update, I could have other columns on here that I could then update, and that data can then be passed back into CRM. So we're making sure that we're keeping everything in sync. So that's scenario 2. Scenario 3 is along the lines of what I just mentioned. Only 2 main steps here, but here we have one of our listeners. Sequence has a range of listeners that allow us to listen to events happening outside, whether that's an email coming in, a web service being called, in this case for an event happening within SharePoint. And Sequence can respond to any event within SharePoint that the SharePoint event handling mechanism responds to. In this case, we're waiting for a list item to be added. Once we do that, we're going to create a task within CRM. Now this is we're just doing one thing here. What's more likely to happen in a real-life scenario is we may add the list item, one list item into SharePoint, but then that would need to propagate to multiple tasks within CRM and possibly tasks within other systems as well. But here we just want to show the concept of creating one task, but it could equally be many, many tasks. So let's run through this scenario. And to do this, I don't start this automatically. We simply go to our actions and we add a new item. All standard SharePoint stuff here. CRM edition. If I could spell. Category installation. As I say, one list item could result in many activities within CRM. May just take a few seconds for it to propagate through the system, but hopefully, if fairly quickly, I now go back to my workplace, to activities, see if it's come through yet. There we go, we've now got a new task has appeared. We could assign it to whichever team it's relevant. Sequence can be used to do some very complex work distribution, both within SharePoint and within CRM. And we can perhaps, if we have time, we can talk about a case study we have along those lines. But here we can see we've copied the subject, the description that I put in there, and also the category. Again, could be other information, whatever information we need to capture from the user and spread out to other enterprise systems. So that's scenario 3. Now scenario 4 is subtly different because this is about other systems as well. Organizations don't just have a CRM and SharePoint. They will almost certainly have ERPs such as AX, their own bespoke systems that they've created. So in this case, what we're going to do, we're going to select a customer. We have, if any of you have seen our webinar demonstrating SCE, you'd have seen a customer onboarding scenario. This is actually a snippet from that particular scenario, but I just wanted to pick the core element out so that I can show you it self-contained today. So we're going to select a customer, but of course, as I say, this could be done as part of a customer onboarding exercise. So I'm going to start this process off again. Again, this one may just take a little while because what we're actually doing is we're displaying a grid of customers as well as a drop-down. So it may just take 1 or 2 seconds to pop up. Here we go. And so here we can see we've actually got lots of customers in here. This is our grid that we have on the sequence forms. It's a very powerful editor that allows you to filter, to sort, to group. And we're interested in our Antler companies. I'll select them from a drop-down list. So we can display information from CRM on grids. We can display it within drop-downs. And I probably should have ordered these alphabetically to make it easy to find. But here we are. Here's Antler technology. That's what we're interested in. When I click Submit, we are now going to create accounts in Dynamics AX and also in a bespoke system we have. But we're not just creating them in there and forgetting about them. We are then reflecting back in CRM, in SharePoint, that in the account numbers that we've created so that we know that it's been done and we're just completing the loop. Let's click Submit. Let's let that all happen behind the scenes. There we go. Now if I go back into our customer area, into our customer folder, back into Antler Technologies, what we've actually done is we've just copied another document appended the name of the company on there, but we have also taken the account number that was returned by AX and the account number that was returned by, in this case, it's a warranty system. And we've just populated those within SharePoint. Here is documents. It could, of course, be a list. It can be anywhere within SharePoint. Similarly, if I now go back into accounts in CRM, and we have a look back at Antler Technology, we'll now see those two custom fields that we have also been populated with those details. So Sequence CRM Edition allows you to not just work with out-of-the-box entities, you can work with custom entities, custom fields. Same goes to the SharePoint side. Any document library you may create, any list, custom list or standard list, can all interact with your business processes with the use of Sequence Kinetics. Okay, so just very quickly to recap before I hand back to Ellie. In fact, let me have a look at it from this view. So we've had a look for some scenarios where we've created objects, information objects, whether that's entities in CRM, documents, folders in SharePoint, connected them all together, shared data between the two. But this is all part of a process, so there can be some complex business logic in there as well. It's not just about integrating data, copying data from one place to another. As Ellie said, you can do that anyway. That can be done. What's key here is there's process behind here. Humans can be involved, whether that's adding extra information, supplementing the information, deciding what needs to happen. Business rules can be included in there. So when do we create tasks, activities in CRM? What do those activities need to be? It can all be defined within the business logic of the process, but without having to write any lines of code. Those 4 little scenarios that I showed you, very powerful, but I didn't have to write a line of any code at all. Unfortunately, we haven't got time today to show those in more detail, but we'll always be pleased to spend more time with people online if you'd be happy to. But on that note, I'll now pass back to Ellie.
Okay, you can leave the presentation with you for a second, James, if you don't mind. I'll take it back in a second.
Okay. No,
we have several questions. You're still welcome to ask, although I'm not sure if we'll get to all of them because they really have gotten a flood of questions here, but we'll ask some choice questions. Ryan is asking, can the processes be attached directly to SharePoint actions, such as publish or check in? I think they can.
It's a simple answer to that. Any event that happens, so check-in, update, publish, can all be responded to. And it doesn't just have to be at the start of a process, it can be within a process. So we may have published a document to a library, asked an author to update that document. Once they've updated it, checked it back in, the process can then carry on to do what else needs to be done in the process.
Thank you, James. And I want to say in addition that the current version, the upcoming version of Sequence Kinetics XB7, which is due to be released within the next week or so, has some new wonderful SharePoint activities which enable you to check in, to upload documents, and to do various common SharePoint actions on documents and lists in a out-of-the-box wizard. So yes, the answer is yes. Both ways, both the events reacting to and initiating. Okay. Is it possible for our customers to interact with process owners and see the process status? That's another question, James.
Sorry, Ellie, could you just repeat the start? I missed the start of the question.
Okay. There. Is it possible for our customers to interact with the process owners and see the process status? Say an organization has customers, and you want to give them a view on, the process status, for example. Maybe it's a support process. Can they see where the process stands? That's one side of the question. Or can they somehow interact with other process stakeholders, the customers of the organization?
Yes. So we can do that within the sequence process, we have our workflow status view, which can be displayed just about anywhere. There's just a link to this page. It's part of Sequence Kinetic. So it can be displayed, as we see here, in CRM. You can see it in SharePoint. You could even have it on your website if you had a secure customer area on your website. This can be, here we're seeing quite a lot of detail. We can reduce the level of detail you see, so you just see a higher model view of it, if that makes more sense. As if it's customers or business users, you may want to perhaps show less of the detail than we're showing here.
Okay. Another question is, can the tool deal with CRM custom entities, custom CRM entities?
The simple answer there is yes. Any entity that you create and also field within there can be, let me just very quickly go into one of the activities. Here's where we configure the activities, our connections, and I'll just take a couple of seconds while it just interrogates CRM. Because each time we come through here, it goes and has a look to see if any additional entities have been created. And here is all the list of entities. It's surprising just how many entities there are in CRM. But we can interact, we can create these, we can update them. And in fact, you can see here we have 3 custom entities that are part of the SCE solution. So yes, everything appears in SCE that you can then create, update, and manage within your business processes. Same goes for custom fields as well within those entities.
On the topic of custom, John is asking, can I add any custom validations on these forms? And so the answer is yes. You can validate any of the fields on the forms, and we have
so
validation
on our forms. Our forms, you can add validation quickly and easily. We have down here, so this is our form editor. We haven't had a look in here, and this is our UX Studio that allows you to be able to create the forms. And here we have some validations that we can put on here, where we could just say, well, we want this particular field to be required, and I can configure that. Or this particular field, it could be a numeric field, needs to be within a range. Or we want to compare this particular field with certain values. Or you can create custom validators that you can create the JavaScript behind the scenes that will then do some very complex validation. And you can summarize them all in one place, or you can have the appropriate validators appearing next to the fields. Yes, a very flexible validation to make sure the data is good quality before the form is submitted.
Okay, here's a tough question, James, from Kevin. How are the differences between the CRM and SharePoint security models handled by the product? James? James, are you with me?
Oh, sorry, I missed all the question there. I'm not sure if it's your end or my end, but okay. I seem to be losing you. So sorry, could you just repeat the question?
Okay, how are the differences between CRM and SharePoint security models handled by the product?
Okay. Sequence is Microsoft-based, as you'd expect. Typically, we use Active Directory, and that tends to be the way that customers with CRM and SharePoint are operating. So we can use the security models within Active Directory. Alternatively, the security model can be built into the process, or we can interrogate both CRM and SharePoint individually as required. So really, it comes down to what your specific requirements are. But we are generally seeing Active Directory as being sort of the one version of the truth as far as security goes these days.
Okay, we have a couple. We have a lot of questions here. We'll try to get through a couple more, and then we're going to have to finish up here. If you do have more questions and they haven't been answered, then you're welcome to email them to me at elisles@pnmsoft.com or jamesl@pnmsoft.com. Where does PNMsoft SCE run in a CRM online deployment? Azure, IaaS, or PaaS? That's from Mark.
Okay. I mean, in terms of hosting, we have a number of different models. We are typically seeing it being hosted on-premise at the moment, but PNMsoft, we do have both platform as a service and software as a service, IaaS. All sorts of different models are possible and are being used by a customer. So again, it really comes down to how you are deploying your own enterprise systems and what model really works for you. We're used by both private and public sector organizations. Different sectors are starting to embrace the cloud at different speeds. So really we're just looking to be agile as to what our clients, our customers require, rather than saying you need to follow this particular model.
Okay, I guess I'm going to take one last question here. Mark is asking, what's required when linking to other applications? Web services, APIs, what is required when linking to other applications?
So, Sequence Kinetics, we have a number of integration activities for Dynamics CRM and a number of integration activities for SharePoint. We have WCF and web service consumers for connecting to just about anything else, whether that's directly to those systems via their own APIs or whether it is via an enterprise service bus. We can also support, you'll see up there as well, SAP as well. We have a out-of-the-box connector for. We can also support file transfer, whether that's via FTP, secure FTP. That's quite often a common way that some of our customers want to integrate with SAP, particularly when Sequence Kinetics is consuming SAP data. But mainly it's through WCF services and web services and all the flavors of those that you would expect. Okay,
very good. Okay, that's going to be enough questions for now. Thank you very much for your questions, and I want to encourage you to, if we didn't get to your question during the webinar, please contact us by email at jamesl@pnmsoft.com or myself at les@pnmsoft.com. And so thanks, James, for the demo and for the answers. Wonderful. Just to sum up here, with PNMsoft SCE, you're going to be able to create complex business processes that span both SharePoint and Dynamics CRM. You're going to be able to leverage the benefits of both those great systems for improved operations. You're going to have that you complete me. You're going to each system is going to complete the other within the framework of business processes, which are going to then make your business more efficient, more competitive, and more streamlined. You have a system which manages flow between the systems, enables managers and process managers to have visibility over the processes, and it's going to involve more users in your organization around business processes. You're going to be able to surface CRM data within SharePoint and vice versa. You're going to be able to synchronize the data between the systems. You're going to be able to kick off processes from either system or even from outside the system, as we saw in the examples. And finally, you're going to be able to integrate Dynamics CRM and SharePoint with ERP and other systems. And those are just some of the benefits, just to sum up there. So we took the questions. Just a little bit about ourselves. PNMsoft provides intelligent business process management solutions for businesses worldwide. We're the only pure-play 100% .NET Microsoft-based vendor on Gartner's IBPMS Magic Quadrant. I'd say we're the leading Microsoft-based vendor on the Magic Quadrant, also for 2014. We have two major products, PNMsoft Sequence, which is our intelligent BPM suite, And we have PNMsoft SCE, which we are highlighting today, which is really Sequence CRM Edition, that's SCE, an IBPMS that enables creation of intelligent workflow solutions for Dynamics CRM and SharePoint. And you're welcome to contact us once again with your questions. Our emails are right there on the screen. You're welcome to visit our website, PNMsoft.com, or call us, the numbers below, and also on our contact form on the website. And if you would like a demo for your organization for PNMsoft SCE, then you can go to our website, and from the home page you'll see there's a section on Dynamics CRM, and just click Get Started, and you'll be able to get to the page that you see on the screen and request a demo. So that pretty much wraps up the webinar for today. James Luxford, thank you very much for being with us and for the great demo and the answers.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all for being with us today and for your excellent questions. And you'll be able to catch this webinar if you missed some of it, or you want to show a colleague, also on our website at pnmsoft.com under webinars, and also on our, if you're a customer, you'll be able to go to our Knowledge Center. Here again, this is our website. If you want to get started, that's the area here, BPM for Dynamics CRM. You can request a demo here. And again, the webinar itself here under Resources Webinars, it will be appearing on this page over here. So that just about wraps it up for today. Thank you all very much for being with us.